This is the semifinals of the 2021 Spring Split playoff. Going into game 2 FPX now with the Alistar and Nocturne bans, kind of mirroring last game, with EDG opting to ban out Crisp's Thresh. And I'm going to assume Nuguri's Jace because Doing B isn't really the Jace player. And in game 1, we saw EDG kind of take a. They managed to maintain the they managed to defend their jungle well. There wasn't FPX were not the proactive team that they were versus RNG. They were not able to punish the jungle capabilities of JJ in game 1. In fact, EDG they kind of just took a minor lead and after maybe botching one or two team fights, just took it to the house. It was a pretty one-sided game that seemed so stable, but EDG really good at just acquiring those little leads. Now, interesting mix-up in the picks and the bans here actually is EDG actually allows the Hecarim to come through, and FPX opting to ban out the Udyr. EDG could have banned out the Hecarim in the second last pick, but instead opt to ban out the Victor instead, kind of targeting the mid lane. FPX can actually go for the Orianna here. It'd be fully possible. They could of course pick their two bot laners, but I feel like Doing B's champion pool is relatively small and in that sense can be kind of counted as a weakness. So it wouldn't be too bad to see them go for the Orianna here. The Rel as well as the Tristana pick coming in. Does that mean we'll see the Kai'Sa and maybe even the Kai'Sa and the Rakan coming in here, as Hecarim isn't really Udyr but can count with the amount of movement speed he gets. With the Tahm Kench lock-in, does that mean we'll be seeing a Jinx? We could also possibly be seeing a Senna. Both champions, of course, are still up. Jinx, I do believe, has a range advantage over Tristana, especially in the early game. It looks like they feel comfortable with the Senna pick as they are hovering it here. 12 seconds though. Doing B, despite of the outcome of game 1, is all smiles, knows that has full faith in his team and knows that he is capable of bringing it back with the people on his left and his right. Let's see what Scout opts to go for here. He, in fact, could go for the Orianna pick, as I don't think either team are going to allow the Orianna to go through here. Of course, they could look to pick out their jungler as well. Lilia is still up, as is the Nidalee, and they could go for the Volibear here as well. Set is also up, but I doubt we're going to see these kind of champions as the Zoe pick comes in. Now, Zoe, I think, is a really good pick. Volibear actually being the final lock in here. EDG just flashing the Zoe to let FPX know that it's a possibility. EDG wouldn't be surprised at all to see an Orianna ban coming out here. Just want to take away what Doing B is comfortable with. Either way, if you don't ban it, there's almost 100% chance that Doing B will pick it out in the 4th pick. Or 5th pick at this point, doesn't really matter. What matters more, I suppose, is what will we see coming in to the top lane for FPX. As the Corki ban actually comes out, not quite sure why they're so worried about Corki. Perhaps they're trying to fake out an Azir pick, which they will not be able to do any longer as Stake pulls the trigger and Azir gets banned away. They could look to try and ban a top laner here, perhaps. There is the Ngar still available. Of course, Jace is the only top laner that has been banned so far. The Renekton, of course, an LPL favorite, is still up as well. And let's see what they choose to lock in here. Looking at the team composition so far, with the Senna, Tahm Kench, and Hecarim, it's a nice little run forward kind of ball going on here. The Senna can hit from range, can also provide the long range ultimate as the Ngarben does come through, and of course provide a little bit of healing for the Hecarim. On the side of EDG, it's pretty much a jump in, all in, get in there kind of composition. As another top lane ban comes in, it is the Renekton this time. So let's see what EDG opt for here. I really would not be surprised to see the Orianna pick coming in here. They could of course perhaps go for the Akali as well, really round out their but the Akali kind of overcommits in my opinion to the dive composition. Now EDG have got this nice team fight, diving, AoE, CC composition, and FPX hovering the Akali as well as the Sylas. I kind of would like to see the Akali here. I think Doing B's Akali is quite deadly. Yone pick also coming in, trying to take advantage of Orianna's slightly weaker early game and just get around. But yeah, I really like this Akali pick. I think it really rounds it out very well. Also kind of a dive composition. The Set pick, Set wasn't really, to me, Niguri's Set really didn't do too much in game 1, but perhaps they just really have a good idea for it that they didn't get to execute upon. The crowd seems in favor of FPX as they were in game 1. Unfortunately, we saw how that went as EDG did a fantastic job. But this seems very much like an FPX-esque comp, as in like we've got Ken on a jungler that we know he's very comfortable on. What will we see coming in here? Will we see the Gragas pick yet again? Gragas providing some nice disengage and engage also. Decent amount of CC. Can try to knock both the Tahm Kench and the Senna in, so in a way the Devour won't be too useful. Would not be surprised at all to see that. And considering it's being held for so long, yep, just like game one, mirror match going up. I mean, same matchup going up in the top side. It is the set against the Gragas. EDG probably looking to hard focus towards the bottom side and maybe put a bit of pressure in the mid lane. Now, with the Akali, with the mobility she gets from her backflip as well as the Shroud and her passive movement speed, it's going to be a lot harder to gank than the Victor. I actually think the Victor wasn't too big of a problem for EDG in game one, so I'm very surprised to see that third ban coming and hitting that Victor out of here. I would have much preferred to see on the side of EDG that Hecarim ban instead, because now FPX look like they're in a really solid position. They got a really good team composition. Both teams lots of capabilities to just dive in. Team fight wise, I think EDG do have a slight bit of an advantage, but FPX do have that threatening mid game, that power spike that we all know FPX love to have because they want to dictate the map. The stronger teams can dictate the map and force you onto their tempo, close out the game before your scaling even has the chance of reaching the tip of the iceberg even. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. Going into game 2, FPX, will they be able to stop EDG from getting those little wins and garnering those little advantages and bringing it further, bringing it to the house, acquiring those little advantages and then growing them? EDG are like farmers at this point in time, and FPX is kind of like they're kind of like the invading force. They're kind of like the battering ram. They need to go, and EDG just want to weather the storm. And with that, let us see how game 2 kicks off. Looking at the runes right now, nothing too surprising or, yeah, absolutely nothing out of the ordinary in my opinion. Everything pretty much as it should be. Nuguri going for that demolish could mean that he's trying to be a split push threat, but I do believe, I mean, later on, if the game ever gets to like a later mid-game point, Set could potentially be used as a split pusher because they don't really have anything that can match up too well against him unless they send maybe 2 people up there. And defensive start for both teams. Looking at the composition, EDG pretty much just want to scale and get into the team fights, and then FPX want to hit a extremely strong mid game and start dictating the map. So as always, early game, what are we looking for? We're looking to see if FPX can maintain a decent decent early game. EDG so far have proven to us that they can weather the FPX early aggression storm. That being said, FPX was not as aggressive in this game as they were versus RNG. So slight mix-up coming in here for the side of FPX. They looked very comfortable to try and scale in game 1. While versus RNG, they kind of just ran them down. Perhaps they just recognize, perhaps they feel that EDG don't play so well in the late game. And so far, I must say that we have yet to see, because EDG just closing it out, doing a fantastic job at maintaining the early game. Still, leashless start for JJ in the top side, so FPX will have no clue where he is starting out. Tian, meanwhile, is getting a leashed start in the bot lane. I think Hecarim is going to have an easier time clearing out. He's got more AoE, will have a slight bit of a tempo lead over JJ, especially the fact that he got a leash. But seeing as to how the pathing is for both of the junglers, it looks like they are going to cross each other like ships at night, and there will be no fight for a double scuttle attempt by either jungler. Would like to pan towards the bot lane now, because I do believe that bot lane, it's always a fight to see who gets level 2 first. With the Tristana, I am pretty sure that EDG are the ones who are going to have the push, are the ones who are going to be able to contest the wave easier. They're going to definitely have the passive push going on. This is, of course, starving Senna, having to auto the waves a few times to try and match the level 3, which is coming in right now. And just like that, FPX backing off. Both junglers now just about clearing the first side of the map that they were on. TNS, to be expected, does have that minor lead. And yeah, just like that. Okay, interesting. Viper jumping in, trying to trigger out the stun from Mako. Might have gone a little bit too far, as Stun does a lot of damage in the early game. As the flash coming in from Chris, Cleanse coming out from Viper. The stun comes in as well. LWS is just walking in to try and finish off Viper. LWS does have flash. There's no way that Viper survives it. They flash into the bush to get vision, and Mako is now being slowed by both the passive slow as well as the fact that he is dismounted as he jumps on his horse to try and run away. Chris trying to get one more auto attack off to get the stun off, and that was insane coming in there from Viper. Even I know that Tahm Kench does a lot of damage early game. He might not have Hail of Blades, but that champion still does an obscene amount of auto attack damage. His base stats are insane. As a little bit, not what I expected. I did expect EDG to get some of that early game pressure as a bit of trading going on in the top side. Flandry, of course, an incredible disengage with his phase rush as well as that body slam, and great sustain with his passive healing. Now, this is quite crazy. This was really deep too. Didn't manage to land anything here. Didn't manage to get the stun off onto either champion, and he's just auto attacked. That glacial augment really coming in big. Chris trying to flash out of the crash down. Unfortunately, he still gets clipped by it and is just able to walk out. Meanwhile, LWX walking in with full HP, forced to flash into bush to try and finish off Viper, not wanting to give him any chance at all. Viper's cleanse also coming out too early, actually not able to cleanse out the stun. Both junglers just clearing out their respective sides of the jungle, as well as getting one Scuttle Crab each, as Mako walking in now into the bot side, trying to get some vision out onto Tian, warding out where he expects Tian to be. EDG, all things considered, are doing a great job. FPX doing a great job because they have no idea actually where JJ is. They haven't spotted him at all. They can only kind of surmise where he is. Now he is about to trot on a ward, which is going to reveal to the members of FPX exactly where he is. And even if he didn't trot on that ward, the fact that the crowd camp has just respawned is also a big indicator as to where he has started. 42 seconds until Dragon spawns. Last game we saw FPX really put a lot of pressure into ensuring that Dragons went their way. Unfortunately, that was not enough. Let's see if they've got put just as much emphasis on it this game. The FPX that I kind of know prefer Rift Herald, and somehow EDG managing to get both the Rift Heralds last game. Doing be getting a little bit of harass down in the bot side, down in the mid lane, sorry. And looks like JJ, after clearing out this camp, could potentially look to get something here. In terms of ward coverage, I think FPX are definitely doing it much better. Nuguri is just pummeling Flandre under tower this time. I feel like after game 1, he's kind of learned something and realized something and has adapted his playstyle accordingly, which is exactly what you want to see. Mako making his way into the mid lane now with Viper in his stride, as well as JJ. Interesting here. Looks like EDG are really trying to force an advantage in the mid lane, as they did in the first 2 games. Tower diving doing be between his tier 1 and tier 3, sorry. Tier 3 and tier 2 tower. Ken is in the area, just want to make sure that his mid laner, his star super carry doing B is doing well. Scout trying his best to zone doing B, and is actually doing a decent job at it, considering the fact that, I mean, he is ranged, of course. Dragon is started up here. JJ is in the area, equal level for both junglers, but unfortunately he looks like his team does not want to make a move for it. JJ could try and kamikaze in and get it. He does have flash, he does have smite. If he wants to go in, I think he has to go in. Now looks like he's trying to get some damage on, see if they can get something after the dragon goes down. Unfortunately, Chris is quite a beefy fella, and so he will not actually get anything from that. Flandre also was running down, and he's managed to throw a ward down into the topside pixel bush to try and get himself a bit of vision. Tian, however, instantly clears that one out. Looking at both teams, alright, FPX have managed to garner themselves a little bit of a gold lead, actually quite a significant gold lead, nearly 1,000 gold up, 6 minutes in. That's probably largely coming from the bottom lane, as of course that early kill, but as well as the fact that LWX has the ability to get gold from just auto attacking the enemy champions, or ultimate coming in here by a teleport, instantly coming in from Doing B. Looks like Flandre may have made a slight bit of mistake. Nui does have flash. Doing B is in the area, ults him away from, and he misses the face breaker. Oh no, this is terrible. As teleport is coming here, Tian is here as well as a 3v3, but Nuguri is at half HP, does not have his ultimate, neither does Flandre actually either. As JJ flashes in, Nuguri is just tossed around. Doing B is taken extremely low, as well as Tian is forced to go in to try and peel them off. Doing B jumping in still, as the onslaught of shadow comes in, as well as the execute coming from Doing B. Doing B still has his ultimate, does not have flash, will not be able to close the distance, as Tian nearly tries to take out Scout, but Scout managing to waltz away from him. Unfortunate turn of events. Fantastic execution coming in here from EDG, actually just chain CCing Nuguri, tossing him around like he was part of a bounty castle, and Doing B also taking tons of damage before he really gets to trade anything back. EDG, great rotations, brings the gold lead back into, it evens out the gold lead actually back into, it's fully even. 1k, 11.3k each at this point in time, as we see here. Flandre, I think Nuguri should have tried to face breaker him first and then tried to ult him back. But JJ here, realizing that he needs to get Nuguri, they need to instantly explode one person, and then also the ultimate pulls Doing B in, and then the lightning coming in from JJ actually doing tons of damage, as Tian unfortunately runs out of mana here, was not able to use a Q until just then, and Scout with the biscuits running as well as the pots, managing to survive that with just a sliver of HP in the bot side. Again, I'm kind of surprised at how strong FPX are doing in this bot side. I expected them to be kind of hammered in this early game. No jungler is in the area, so for now it is still a 2v2 situation, as Chris and LWX do manage to garner themselves a fair bit of CS. Chris not far behind in terms of gold at all. as JJ is in the area. JJ does have ult and will be able to dive him. Tian is just moving on now towards the top side as he jumps onto Chris Viper. Instant flash in. Elderwest tries to dodge away. Unfortunately, it is not going to be enough as both of them are just pounced on by Viper. Viper, the one to start each of the fights, and this time is able to profit from his aggression, getting a kill and a assist, and some of these juicy tower play things. Actually opting to back off and preserve their tempo, not wanting to give FPX any way back into this, especially through simple macro plays, as the burn coming in from the red buff as well as the item actually gives the blue buff over to Tian, but regardless, Tian will enjoy that as he is able to start up this Rift Herald. Scuttle Crab is just about to spawn too. Looks like the members of EDG are not in the area, trying to make a punish across the map as they did previously as well. Interesting play coming in here, as Scout will have the blue buff, will be able to continuously pressure doing B. Tian trying to finish up both the crustaceans in the jungle as simultaneously, and is able to do so. Mako is in the mid lane right now with JJ. Could potentially be looking to try and do something to Akali, but that's the problem with the champion. With the smoke screen as well as the Shuriken toss, she is so mobile. She can buy so much time for her team and allow them to just get into position. Now it's like they're trying to do a 3-man dive yet again, but Doing B is spotted on a ward. A ping goes down immediately. Flandre does have his ultimate, does have face rush, does not have flash, as Tian runs in even level with him. Body slam to try and disrupt it as Onslaught Shadow pushes him back into Doing B, who uses ultimate as well to close the distance. Flandre using his explosive cast, but Dewey dodging it out perfectly, using the passive movement speed as well as the Qs to continuously just chase Flandre down. Little that he could do in that situation. FPX showing some signs of life here, showing that they're actually looking to focus on this top side, which honestly is no surprise considering this kind of bot lane that FPX is running is not really one that is known for being a kill pressure lane, as the first tower is going to go down here as well. In the meantime, EDG is in the bot side trying to make a play as well. They do not have Stormbringer, will not be able to push. Unfortunate timing as the minion wave actually tanks the Rift Herald for the side of EDG. Will EDG be able to trade a tower over in the bot side? I think there's four platings left. Nope, there's no way this is gonna happen as Nuguri just uses his Iron Spike Whip as well as his Face Breaker and manages to pummel down tower. Flandre is in the area, but 3 members are here as well. FPX has got Doing B as well as Tian as well as Nuguri here. Flandre could be in danger. Now JJ is in the area. Scout is not moving. This could be a second round dive. This is a tilted. This is a Hashinshin walk back into lane. No teleport involved in this one as he is just CC'd around. Does not have ultimate. It's just Tower Dove. A nice flash coming in. Actually saving him. Fantastic play coming in there from Flandre. Flandre is doing an exceptional job. He's going actually full tank this game. No AP at all as Nuguri is brought in by 2 ultimates as pounced on by JJ. Stormbringer coming in from over the wall. Dragon is being pinged here by the members of EDG trying to make their way across the map in time to ensure that FPX cannot sneak it away. But looks like FPX have no intention of taking the second dragon of the game. In fact, satisfied with what they've gotten in the top side. Instead, Strikebreaker is up now for Nuguri as he is the first champion in the entire game to complete his mythic item. Interesting that Flandre opting to go for the tank build here. I wonder if he went into the game realizing this, or he realized, because FPX kind of did have a tell in initially. It's the fact that their bot lane is the bot lane that they have chosen, that there's no way that they're going to be focusing hard on the bot lane. Chances are he is going to be the point of focus for the members of FPX. And I think he's building very accordingly. It's harder to kill him if he's a all-out tank. That being said, there's less chance for him to try and kill them, considering the fact that he's an all-out tank. So I suppose I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. I always prefer to go for the damage, right? I think when in doubt, always build damage. But it looks like they really are looking to try and just scale, and he's just looking to be a huge resource, a CC bot, a body slamming monster in the team fights later on. Now, FPX managing to explosive cast just coming in, disrupting Doing B's recall, and allowing Scout to just continue to pressure him in the mid lane. Interestingly enough, FPX with that little play on the top side have managed to get themselves a little bit of a gold lead yet again, back to the 1000 gold lead mark. Let's see if EDG are able to come back and to bring the gold lead back into the game. Excuse me, as we look at the vision coverage, both teams actually have fantastic coverage of each other's red side jungle. And yeah, like both teams are doing a fantastic job of just keeping each other in view as Viper jumping in onto Elder Blaze, but Chris is in the area. The Munch comes in as JJ is found here, does have flashes of the wall. Onslaught Shadow follows him, as does Nuguri's ultimate with the Showstopper. JJ just pounced on here in the top side. Okay, that's pretty greedy actually, because he knows, he can see that FPX's bot side, red side is empty. There is not a champion in sight in that area. Where else could Tian be? He has to be in the top side. And the fact that you've lost your tier 3 tower means that Nuguri is able to rotate, is able to just push wave after wave, and is able to be the one to rotate first as Nuguri takes down the top tower. I think that was a really bad play coming in there from JJ. A very, very greedy play. and getting punished by it is just kind of to be expected. It's just kind of something that's to be expected at this level of play. FPX, they have no intention of sitting back letting you take anything. They want to take everything from you. And I like that Viper here in the bot side with Mako have been trying to make plays by themselves, not only relying on their jungle presence. That being said, JJ is in the area, kind of furious that his red buff got taken away. A little bit of trading going in back and forth between LWX, Mako, Viper, as well as Chris, as the red buff is stolen away from JJ. I suppose criminal justice, this is some karma coming in as JJ just waltzes out through the bottom side. Bush could look for a tower dive here, does have Stormbringer, but Tian is in the area. Scout is moving down as well. Doing B, I'm not quite sure if he does. I think Doing B has teleport, as does Nuguri. This could be a 5-man fight coming in here. Flandria is still under tower. There's no one to stop anyone's recalls here. But it looks like the members of FPX are seeking out the members of EDG in the mid and in the jungle positions, as Tian is in the area as well, showing himself. JJ is not in the area. I think he has he's just clearing out his jungle, as Nuguri with his slight CS lead is in. Okay, Nuguri go for Flandre right here. Oh no, it looks like he's more interested in the CS rather than Flandre, using his strike breaker more often on the minions in fact than the champion that stands in front of him. Interesting. Now, looking at the both sides again, wards have kind of died out. The only remaining vision on the map belongs to the side of FPX, and they are looking to heavily control the mid, basically playing around mid lane. As Viper trying to jump into a 1v2 situation here, forced to bust a shot, nearly one-shotting LWX with that damage from the grenade as well. To be expected, that champion does so much burst damage in early game and scales exceptionally well, as Tian is waiting here. Around the corner is JJ. Unfortunately, this could be a 2v2 or maybe a 3v3, as teleports are available as well. But Skull able to turn out the wave. The blue buff is up. Tian turns corner, gets instantly frozen up as ultimate comes in, trying to pull in two members, trying to buy as much time as possible. Even LWX's ultimate rings through, as Flandre's teleport was forced out, and JJ actually finishing up his recall, unfortunately not being able to help Scout, as looks like the mid laner on the red side is the one who's always going to get the attention that he doesn't really want, as Flandre is just trading here with FPX's Doing B. Star mid laner, Mako is rotating up from the mid lane. They could attempt something here, but Mako realizing that is not it. Viper is hammering away at his tower, as LWX was forced to recall just now. Crisp trying to walk up to him, but Viper doing tons of damage with his hail of blades and having his Kraken Slayer completed as well. Flandre and JJ are now trying to surround out Nuguri. Nuguri does have Strikebreaker, does have his ultimate. JJ thinking better, considering the 2-level advantage, as Nuguri just consoles himself with the fact that he's able to take away the Krugs, as the second Rift Herald of the game goes over now to Tian. Third Dragon is spawning out in 30 seconds time, as a recall coming in here from Doing B. Does not have teleport. Nuguri's teleport is still available. Flandre's is not, which means as the first tower falls in favor of EDG for this game, they've got fantastic vision actually of both sides of the jungle, of FPX's jungle. Now, let's see what they can do here, because FPX have the ability to force a 5v4 situation if Nuguri just continuously pressures topside and Flandre is not able to stop out his TP. That being said, with Explosive Cask, it is a little bit easier than it would be expected to cancel out TP. Scout is in the top side with Mako. They could in fact try to make a play on the opposite side of the map, kill Nuguri and take a tower in exchange for Dragon, because this Dragon in a way is kind of inconsequential. It is going to be only the second Dragon for either team regardless of who gets it. Looks like FPX are in the area trying to finish out as much as possible, while EDG are trying to make a play on the opposite side of the map, perhaps fishing for Nuguri. The rotation of Viper up to the top side tells me that they are actually trying to look for Nuguri, catch him, kill him, but more importantly take the top tower, trading tower gold for the second dragon, third dragon of the game technically, as Nuguri realizing that no contest in the dragon pit means that he is the one who is most likely in peril. And with that, FPX also trading a tower in the bottom side as well. 4 members of the team in this bot side, as Nuguri just trims out the wave as best as he can. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Scout and Flandre forced to try and stay together, hold hands, and ensure that neither of one of them get doven for anything. Tian, meanwhile, is just going to siege down this final outer tower of EDG. I don't think EDG are winning this right now, because they are down in tempo, they are down in terms of tower taking capabilities. Rift Herald is going to hammer this tower down as like Demolish comes in from Nuguri. Nuguri jumps in with the Strikebreaker and the Facebreaker. Could have gone slightly too far. He uses his W to try and tank a bit of damage. Fortunately for him, he was not explosive cast into the entire team, but I suppose it's quite dangerous to explosive cast set into your entire team, considering the fact that he might take one of your carries back into his own team with him. Very different early game coming in here from FPX, as they are very much the ones dictating it, very much playing towards one of their lanes, able to just... But both teams are doing a fantastic job in terms of vision. In terms of vision, really, I feel like they are on even footing. EDG unfortunately have just had a run of not so great plays, and FPX have just been the ones really dictating the pace of this early game so far. So all things considered, I think EDG are doing a fantastic job keeping up, but FPX are very much in control of this game. Now, the only question that remains is, will they be able to close out the game? FPX making plays onto the top side, knowing that Baron is spawning in about a minute and 30 seconds, wanting to get as much vision as possible, wanting to continue the pressure up towards the top side. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, EDG are just trying to get as much prio as possible, allowing them to just shift between the mid as well as the bot side jungle of FPX. Nuguri is in danger, and there is a tower down there for them to shift between and to try and take. FPX, in the meantime, are trying to hold on to their last outer tower as much as possible, because that outer tower going down would mean that the map really opens up for the side of FPX. But EDG just being jumped on here by Tian. Outside of Shadows going in on to Scout, but unfortunately he's alone in the back line. He's jumped on by Mako, somehow surviving the eat coming in and just saving him as doing B is just in the back line. So is Nuguri jumping forward with the face breaker, with the showstopper, managing to zone out the entirety of the back line. Flandre can't do anything as Viper's trying to run away with the movement speed, but Nuguri does have strike breaker soon, uses his Q movement speed to try and close the distance, and a double kill going over to the side of FPX. FPX just pulling the trigger out of nowhere. I did not expect that whatsoever at all, and the fight was pretty split. Doing B just in the back line causing so much disruption, and Nuguri joining him right there, just piggybacking off of one of the members of EDG, riding into the backline, just chasing down Scout as well as Viper without remorse. As unfortunately, Baron is not, fortunately in fact for EDG, Baron is not up and FPX cannot immediately rotate to that, but they will get some mid damage onto the towers. Some damage onto the mid towers, and Nuguri with his passive and rebuff actually have managed to lifesteal, managed to sustain all the way back. I see what, so Tian sees Scout here, instantly jumps on him, is Everfrost up fantastically, but the onslaught of Shadow comes in, as does the piercing Dawn, and Doing B just jump in, does have the second part of his ultimate, actually managed to hit the Shuriken onto Viper. Viper unfortunately buster shotting him out of the Orianna ultimate, as two ultimates were used right there, and Nuguri jumping in as well. Meanwhile on the backline, Mako just chased out, LWS just on cleanup duty here with Chris by his side, just chasing down any of the stragglers that the other two, the two solo laners of FPX were not interested in, pretty much, because the solo laners feast on the squishies while the AD carry just feast on the tanks, I suppose. Meanwhile, Tian is just escorting Mako out of his own jungle. Onslaught Shadow follows him over the wall as feels up Scout as well. Nuguri is turning the corner, does have his showstopper, does have facebreaker, does have strikebreaker, and Mako is in the area as well. Unfortunately, he cannot run away from the prancing pony, the horsey, as Chris jumping in as well is alone here. The ultimate brings Nuguri a bit closer to him, but the movement speed he gets from his phase rush is enough. Viper unfortunately is caught in an unfortunate situation, is forced to try and jump in and do as much damage as possible. There is no way for him to get out of that. It was an accelerated recall for you, buddy, as Flandre is in the bot side, does have teleport. Unfortunately, the fight's so split. FPX are just so grouped up that there's nothing that EDG can do. There's nothing that Flandre can do. Even if he teleports in, he could perhaps have tried to save one member, but Explosive Cast wouldn't have been able to do anything. Doing be playing goalkeeper now, but realizing that Flandre is in the bot side and the last two members remaining, there is no way a steal could come down, especially since Scout does not have his ultimate. Wow, FPX really just changing up the pace of the game. Just full acceleration, running at EDG. This is the FPX that we know and love. This is exactly the FPX. This is like the old kind of, not fully reminiscent, of course. No one can be the OG of Dota 2, but they're just running at them. Look, and Mako jumped on, as is JJ, by the individual players. And Tian realized once Mako goes over the wall, he just follows him, onslaught shadows, into pure darkness, has no idea, realizes his team is behind him. Nuguri rounding the corner means EDG's Scout and Viper must run. JJ, meanwhile, is just pounced on, trying his best to run away from Doing B into the waiting arms of Tian. And the ultimate coming in from Scout saving him, but Viper forced to run at an angle, unfortunately, is not going to be able to do anything, trying to one-shot somebody, but unfortunately just jumping into 5 people as Soul Point goes over to FPX as well. Things are looking great for them as they continue on to take as much of the jungle as they can. JJ very behind in terms of CS and very behind in terms of levels, punishing the jungle significantly this game. Nuguri and Doing B, in fact all 5 members of FPX are in the bot side of EDG. They are just living in their jungle as another tower falls. The last outer tower available is in that mid lane and is pretty whittled down. I'm also expecting LWX to have a ton of souls at this point in time. Unfortunately, I cannot check it at this. And FPX just rotating now to the mid lane to try and secure out that last outer tower. Both the solo laners have recall. Doing B does not have teleport, but Nuguri does. On the other side, EDG does have 2 teleports available to them, but can they afford to split up? Can they afford to try and force something across the map as the waves are pushing in favor of FPX across the board? And if they send someone away, there's a chance that FPX will just pull the trigger and just run it in. Nuguri is trying to corral the wave up towards the Okay, curl the wave up towards the top side as Elderbeck's testing out his attack speed, attack range, sorry, as Tian is just harassing, poking in from the sides. Tian's flanks so far have been extremely deadly on this champion, and not just in this game, pretty much in the entire tournament so far. Doing be pinged out on the bot side of the max as Nuguri actually channels out his recall, finishing out his force of nature, trying to get himself a little bit more movement speed to try and catch up to the very elusive members of EDG's backline. And FPX, with having taken the outer tower, not really getting too much out of this Baron buff, it feels content though in the last 40 seconds to just waste it away and clear out their side of the map. They've gotten vision across the entirety of EDG. EDG is pretty much in full view. They got a lot of things to sweep out together as a team. Whoo! Alright. Now, what's next? So, Dragon spawning in 3 minutes, and Baron buff is spawning in perhaps 3 minutes as well. Nuguri is just constantly pressuring the top side. At this point in time, what does EDG need in order to win this game? Honestly, it's really hard because... What? I did, Mom.
Oh, you okay?
I'll do the...
No, I just want to take your play sheet.
Is it time? Oh.
Okay, come on.